Thank you. Hello, fourth grade families. Thank you for joining us for our trunk or treat math night. I'm Mrs. Jaraca.
And I am Mrs. Jordan. Today, we're going to accomplish two things. First, we're going to show you how to use the area model for multiplication of larger numbers. Later in the video, we will be going over an activity that you received in your math night bag, which will include a game with fractions.
Before we get started, I do want to note that these strategies are different from how we were taught. Growing up, we were taught to memorize our math facts. We either understood the math or we didn't, and that caused a lot of struggle and misconceptions, with myself included. The way we teach math now teaches the kids why the strategies work the way they work. If you listen to the students' language during and after solving a problem, we are striving to help them understand why math works the way it does, as opposed to just following a procedure.
Without further ado, let us get started. We are going to use a manipulative website because your students may struggle with multiplication. Using the base 10 is a good place to start and familiar for our students. Here you will find the online math manipulative website where you can find these tools. We can use the area model to multiply. By doing so, you are breaking the number down into parts that makes more manageable chunks for the student. We often use expanded form for this.
Our first example is 32 times 4. So that expanded form Miss Jordan is talking about is up here at the top of our area model. We broke it down into 30 plus 2. And then I showed it with base 10 blocks as well. So I drew 2 boxes and I labeled each box on the outside, 30 plus 2 and 4 on the side.
You can represent these numbers with base 10 blocks on the outside of your area model like Ms. Jaraco has shown. On the inside, we're going to write the equations that we need to solve. In our first box, we will put 30 times 4. And in our second, 2 times 4. Using the base 10 blocks, Mr. Rocco will now show us 4 groups of 30.
So there's one group of 30 there. Here's your second group of 30. There's your third one. And there's your fourth. And I'm just going to circle this to make it more clear to the students. But that is one group of 30, 2, 3, and 4.
Now in our second block, we will need 2 groups of 4. Thank you. To find our partial product, we now need to add up the total in each box. To do that, I'm going to count each 10 separately. 10, 20, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, and 120. And I'm going to put my partial product in that box. Now I'm going to count my ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And put my partial product in that box. Now we will need to add these two partial products together, adding together 120 plus 8. I would get a total of 100, a product, I'm sorry, of 128 to answer my equation of 32 times 4.
Awesome. I'm just adding that. Okay. So we're going to try this with a larger number, but we're not going to use base 10 blocks this time. So I'm going to share a different screen. So this next problem is going to be 6 times 356. So I put my 6 on the side, and then up top, I split these boxes into 3. And it's going to be 300 plus 50 plus 6, just like that first time we broke it down by place value. You can see this, right, Miss Jordan?
Yes.
Okay, so then my first equation for this box is 6 times 300. That's hard to see. My second equation is 6 times 50. And my third equation is 6 times 6.
After we've written our equations in our box, we now need to go back and solve each equation to find the partial product. In the first box, we will be solving 6 times 300 for an answer of 1,800. And we will put that in our box. Next, 6 times 50 would give us an answer of 300. And last, 6 times 6, I'm sorry, is 36. Now we would need to add our partial quotient, our partial products together to find our total answer.
So with that, I would write them out the way that we're used to seeing them. $1,800 plus 300 plus 36. Okay. So next, this is what was a little weird when I started teaching this way. We are going to look to make friendly numbers and benchmark numbers, which are numbers that end in 0. So I'm looking at this 1,800 and thinking that's really close to 2,000. I can make 2,000 by taking 200 from 300 and grouping it with that 1,800, which would then make that 2,000. And then makes this 300 into a 100. And the 36 stayed the same. Sorry about my handwriting. So it would be 2,136. We have 2 in the thousands place. I'm going to add it up over here. Oop, and make sure everything's lined up. Okay.
So our answer for this problem is 2,136.
Awesome. Okay. So now, if you can get your math bag out that you received at Trunk or Treat, we're going to show you a game to practice, to practice labeling fractions on a number line. This is something we're working on in class now, so we wanted to touch on this as well. So if you get your packet, you have a book that shows you, let me unshare real quick. A book that shows you some games to play. So you're going to need this, and you're going to need to go to page 12. You need your visual model fraction cards. You need the game board with the spinner on it. You need the dry erase markers and the pawns that look like this. And then your fraction number lines goes from 0 to 1. And we'll go over how to play this. So it says each player takes a game mat and places a pawn on start on the game board. Shuffle the cards and stack them face down between the game mats. Player 1 draws 2 cards from the stack and places them next to her game mat. So I'm going to let Miss Jordan be player 1. We have this fraction, Miss Jordan. Can you see it?
It looks like 3/4.
It is 3/4. And then we have this fraction.
And that looks like 3/5.
Yep. So Miss Jordan is going to label 3/4 on her first number line and 3/5 on her second number line.
To do that, I first need to divide. So I'm going to do 3/4 on this number line and 3/5 on this number line. Wow, Mr. Racco, I think they're going to be the same size, but I think I better check.
I think you should too.
So I'm going to divide my first number line into fourths. And I'm going to label them.
This is something we're practicing in class too, as far as counting by fourths and different fractions, and getting those labels down. So look at Miss Jordan's number line. It says 4/4 is the same as 1 whole. That's really important.
And then on my second number line, I'm going to go ahead and draw that number line out also.
And we are trying best we can to partition evenly.
Yes. And now I'm going to label that number line as well. Now I'm going to go back and I am going to color in the parts that I need. So on this number line, I need to represent 3/4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. And on this number line, I need to represent 3/5. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5. Wow, Mr. Racco, I was wrong.
I'm glad you checked.
Yes, although my numerators were the same, because my denominators were different, it shows me that 3/5 is less than 3/4.
Awesome job, Miss Jordan. So she just compared those two fractions. And now I'm gonna go and then I'll tell you what's next. So I picked 1/6 and 4/4. So my first number line is going to show 1/6, and my second one's going to show 4/4, sorry. So we show this to the kids in class too. We split it down the middle if it's an even number, and then we give each part. So for 6, we would give each part 3. So that it's kind of helps us. It's harder with fifths, isn't it, Miss Jordan?
Yes.
But it kind of helps us partition equally. So I'm going to label this 1/6, 2/6, and have your child label. They can label the whole number line. It will help them out. It's good practice.
It definitely will help us when we get into bigger fractions.
Mhm. And then 1 whole is the same as 6/6. It is not easy writing with this mouse. So from this, I'm going to I'm going to draw on there 1/6, making sure my rectangle stops there. And then I'm going to partition my second number line into 4ths. Oh, thank you. Sorry.
No problem.
So just like for 6, I split it down the middle, and then I'm going to split each half in half to make 4ths. So this is 1/4. I know I'm running out of room at the bottom. 2/4. 3/4 and 4/4. And then I'm going to take my rectangle and color the whole thing in because that's 4/4, 1 whole.
Wow.
So when I'm doing my comparison, I would say, Miss Jordan, 4/4 is greater than 1/6. So
That's
then
right.
if we were at home or in school and checking your work, we would look at your number line. And if you got it right, you would spin the spinner. And I got 1. So then I would move my piece to 1. I'm going to spin for you, Miss Jordan, since you're not next to me.
Okay, thank you.
You got 1 as well.
We tied.
And you got your number line right. So I'm going to move you 1. Awesome. So then the game board, it has some goofy stuff on it, like wear your shirt backwards if you land on it. Close your eyes and touch your nose 10 times without missing if you land on it. So that's fun. So you have to make a loop around the game board first, and that's how you win the game.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
That is awesome. There's a lot of fun activities in that book. So I think that's all. But if you guys have any questions, reach out to us, email or give us a call. Thank you for coming to Math Night. And I hope you had fun learning a strategy and a game with Miss Jordan and I. Bye.
Thank you for attending.